Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike? I am the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. Today we are going to be talking about Team Solo Mid. Yes, good old TSM, most toxic fan base in the entire League of Legends atmosphere. I'd argue that they have the most toxic fans outside of the other top 3 orgs with the most toxic fans. I don't think C9 fans are toxic. I just think that various things can make them toxic. People who obviously, are very mean in their life in general, and then they get this one shot to really show who they really are, and I think that's who Cloud9 fans are. I'm not saying they're fake. I'm saying that that's kind of how people see Cloud9 fans. It's not that Cloud9 fans are toxic. It's more or less so that, various things could make them toxic, but I think that voicing your opinion and concerns isn't really toxic. Fnatic and TSM fans are definitely toxic. SKT fans aren't toxic. I think people are jealous of SKT fans because people said G2 fans are toxic, but people should be proud of SKT and G2 and Fnatic because, well, they've obviously won championships, and they've did a lot of great things at Worlds internationally. Why would you be proud of TSM? Is there anything to be proud of for TSM? That's why I really never debate with a TSM fan, because what is there to be proud of? Like, at the end of the day, Cloud9 has made it further at Worlds than this org ever has in their entire existence. And I'm proud of my 2 orgs that I support, but, just really makes no sense how people can be like, yeah, I'm a TSM fan. That's fine to be a fan, but, when you as a fan start criticizing other fans, you should look at your team and go, is this really the right thing? SKT fans, they have a lot to look up forward to for SKT. SKT do have 3 world championships. G2 have an international title under their belt. What does TSM have? An IEM Katowice championship? I mean, that's something, I guess. People didn't really consider IEM a clear indicator of skill back in the day. But nevertheless, it is time to talk about this new TSM roster. So let's get into it. So I'm going to go down player to player and talk about them. I'll talk about their synergy, what I'm expecting from them, and also what the roster is going to look like. And most people probably watching this video are probably going, why hasn't anybody confirmed Broken Blade his position on the team? Looking at TSM on YouTube from one of their newest videos of Broken Blade being in love with a laptop, I thought it was hilarious. He's pretty much staying with the roster. Just Broken Blade is going to be there, obviously. He was contracted for literally 3 years when he was brought over. So obviously TSM want to utilize him to the fullest potential. And I feel like he had a pretty good year overall. I know various points of TSM didn't really, show that this year with Broken Blade. I think that, in spring he played really well, and I think that for the rest of summer he played decent as well. I still had him very high up in my all MVP voting. What's that thing called? The first team all pros stuff. He was on my 3rd team for, top laners. I still thought he played great. I think that he couldn't really show the way he improved because of how much TSM was falling apart. And you look at that and go, what could this have looked like if the TSM roster had not basically imploded, from the inside out, basically starting a jungler, his first ever series was the most important, which was your playoffs, that'll always be the funniest thing ever. But other than that, I think Broken Blade fixed a lot of his issues that he had in spring. What was the problem in spring? Was that he didn't know exactly how to translate, aggressive leads, and he wasn't really playing smart around the map. But I feel like in summer he fixed that, but it wouldn't really be shown because, the TSM team was just not really that good anymore, and I think they basically had ran their course with each other, and overall, I think that Broken Blade is a good player for what it is, and I'm glad they actually kept him. Now, Dardoch is probably the biggest player on the team that everybody has been talking about. So basically, TSM fans and people that are fans of TSM have kind of always wanted Dardoch to be on this team. More or less so for literally every single offseason. People were like, ever since Dardoch came into the league, right after the offseason would start, is TSM going to pick up Dardoch? Is, TSM Dardoch going to be a thing? Bjergsen and Dardoch, the best mid jungle duo, in the LCS coming. So literally 4-5 years later, we get that. And coming from Dardoch, I know a lot of people are gonna be asking, is he really reformed? From everything I've been hearing about the guy, he seems pretty good at this point, and people keep calling him toxic. I mean, looking at how he hasn't been kicked from his last past two orgs for no toxicity issues other than the fact that those orgs were either dissolved like Echo Fox or bought out like in the Immortals case, he's been fine. People keep saying toxic, but don't keep up to date with the scene to really understand that he's been reformed. And he's said this literally in one of Loco Doco's interviews he had with Dardoch. Literally, Dardoch said that people kind of keep thinking me in the same light, but I've actually changed, and I can understand where he's coming from. A lot of people in my own personal life think that I'm actually still pretty toxic when I was that kind of guy, but I've more or less so had to work on it. And when people see me toxic now in the way that they see toxic, I don't think that's the more or less so the truthful way, because venting your emotions is not toxic unless you're, actually doing it in a malicious way. So I think that Dardoch overall as a player looked pretty good at various points last year and this year, obviously. And looking at how he played on the Optic Academy roster, literally, I don't really fault him for that. I wouldn't really try either. What's the point of trying in that? Obviously for your job, you should try. I'm going to fundamentally say that, but literally nothing you can do. No good players. It's Academy. No one really cares about it that much, but in his case, this is his big shot. He's played on TL, Immortals, CLG, and a lot of people said that CLG roster he was a part of was his big shot. I think the TSM is a bigger shot. There's a lot of fans' expectations for this guy right now, and I actually feel like he can shut all the fans up. And this TSM roster, with him included, is going to be a scary roster to look at, given the fact that if this team builds synergy super quickly, this is going to be an extremely strong roster, looking forward to all for 2020. And looking at it from that point, Dardoch being an aggressive jungler that, is going to be pairing up well with some of the TSM players is a good thing. Because looking at how Dardoch has played in his past teams, he really likes playing towards topside. He really likes playing towards topside. We saw it with Echo Fox. We saw it with the Immortals when he was playing with Flame. We saw it with TL when he would play with Lorlo, and this is something that is a constant thing with him that is a good thing, because obviously Broken Blade likes to play aggressive and will definitely need a jungler in his back pocket to overall get him out of these situations that he's going to be occurring in. Now, looking at Bjergsen has more or less so, I would say, regressed in the past couple of years. I don't think Bjergsen is overrated as some people are pointing him out to be. I think overall Bjergsen has been in the past few years been put in the faker situation. No matter what you do, you're always going to get looked at as bad, no matter how great you are, given the fact that you have to cover up for your team's weaknesses. There are certain points where I will argue that he has been overrated. I think that, people still say that Jensen is bad, yet Jensen has had better international tournaments than Bjergsen. So whether that's due to harder groups, you can't really dispute what was shown in gameplay. But other than that, Bjergsen is a really good player, and normally he's always an MVP candidate. Normally he's always winning his lane. Normally, for North America standards, he's just obviously one of the best we have. Now, I think there's things that he has been working on, but it really hasn't shown that in the past couple of splits, given the fact that the rosters that he's literally had, he's more or less so had to carry dead corpses off the rift. But, looking at how this year is going to pan out for him, I think that this will be a good year for him. And looking at spring, this is definitely a Bjergsen you definitely don't want to mess with. And I think Bjergsen, my only issue I've ever had with him is that he doesn't roam effectively. Other mid laners, his biggest weakness is that he doesn't roam effectively. Now, other mid laners can roam effectively better than him, but don't lane as well as him. So I guess it is kind of a balance between him. So moving on to Kobbe. Kobbe's only been on one team his entire life so far. This is his second big organization, kind of like Bjergsen. Bjergsen's only ever been on... No, he's been on two. Technically, if you count... Was Bjergsen on Ninjas in Pajamas? Oh yeah, he was! Well, so technically Kobbe is kind of in Bjergsen's realm of teams. He's not really been on that many orgs. It's actually kind of funny. TSM and Splice were in the same group in 2016, and Bjergsen beat Kobbe's team. It's really funny that Kobbe is actually on TSM now, because it's really funny that sometimes these guys will obviously beat these players at various international events, and then a couple years later on down the road, they're playing on the same team. Even Biofrost was on that roster too. It's crazy. That's Kobbe's even here in North America. I actually thought they were just gonna end up buying. Wait, they have imports on their roster, don't they? Oh, they actually don't. Looking at their roster, they don't really have imports. Bjergsen doesn't count anymore. Broken Blade counts. Dardoch is NA. Biofrost is NA. Does Biofrost? No, Biofrost can't count as a support. There's no way. Oh, I'm just. Oh my god, sorry. I said Biofrost doesn't count as a support. Oh my god. That's not what I meant. What I meant was Biofrost doesn't count as a import slot, because when you look back at the 2016 TSM roster, they had Sven Skaren and somebody else. And my brain is not working right now. Discredit anything I just said. Obviously, my brain is going mushy right now because it's so cold. It's freezing my brain cells. But other than that, Kobbe is back to being on another team. And is this the best shot for him? I have so many mixed feelings about this, because on one hand, you look at this roster, especially the bot lane on paper, and you're going like, okay, this is a great bot lane. Could potentially be the best bot lane in North America, but this is the issue with Kobbe, is that I don't think his laning is the issue. I think that him being a threat in the lane is a problem. Other than that, I thought he played tremendously great at Worlds. I thought he's looked good in the LEC. I don't know what people are saying where he didn't deserve his all first pro LEC spring. People are freaking tripping, man. He was good. He's been playing good all year. Is this an upgrade over Sven? In the context of what Kobbe showed, in the context of what Sven showed, anything is an upgrade over Sven. So I guess this is a win here. I don't know how he'll synergize with the rest of this team, because remember, people are going to say that this TSM roster is going to come out swinging. You cannot expect that. You cannot expect that, because these guys have never played together. When I do my power rankings, and the reason why I normally get all of my power rankings correct to a certain degree, is that I have to factor in synergy. I've been watching a lot of these players most of their whole careers, so I would know what is going to work. Obviously, if you guys have been doing the same thing, you know what's going to synergize well. Like when I look at Bjergsen and Dardoch, I think that they'll work together, because Bjergsen likes to play aggressive, Dardoch likes to go to mid and top consecutively. His biggest jungle proximity is between mid and top, so that's obviously going to work. You look at how Kobbe has been with Kasing, Norskaren, and who was his first support he ever played with? Mickey X, actually. So those players don't even really come off the same as Biofrost. I think that the closest thing to Biofrost in terms of any support that Kobbe has ever played with is Kasing, and I mean, Kasing is arguably still pretty good in my own personal opinion. So I think Kobbe's issue coming into this spring is that he's going to have to more or less so work on synergizing with the team, and all of them are, but Biofrost doesn't really have to work on that, which is the next player I'll move to, is because Biofrost has already been on TSM. He already has a great relationship with Bjergsen anyway. Bjergsen's actually spoken about this quite a few times. He actually kind of misses, his old TSM roster outside of the double lift situation that it actually happened, but looking at how everything has panned out with the roster, I think that when you look at how Biofrost can be an upgrade over Smoothie, I mean, that's fine. That's more or less so just a swap. I don't think Smoothie in particular played insanely bad. I think that Biofrost more or less so had a better year than Smoothie, and yet Smoothie, obviously still was picked up by CLG, so there's something there, obviously, with Biofrost, that he's always liked TSM. This was the first org he ever played with that was huge. He obviously had a lot of success with TSM, and looking at how this roster past Synergy is going to play, they're definitely going to be mid and top side focused. If you thought they were going to be bot side focused, you're absolutely out of your mind. There's no way a team with Bjergsen, Dardoch, and Broken Blade is a team ever going to be bot side focused. If the bot lane can be aggressive and can win lane effectively, I think they'll have a pretty good run. Now, I'm not going to predict champion pools and all that other stuff and flexibility because we haven't seen them play together. Looking at the most flexible on the roster, it would seem that Broken Blade, Dardoch, and Bjergsen are going to be the most flexible. I think the bot lane is going to be overall having decently standard picks. And looking after that, yeah, that's how I feel about this new TSM roster. I'm not going to bring my hatred, 100% facts about them. You know, I'm not going to predict whether or not they're going to implode from the inside out, because literally that's how all their rosters do anyway. So, I mean, predicting that would be like predicting, are they going to make Frosted Flakes, you know, for little kids? It's probably something that definitely will happen, you know? Cereal will definitely always be there, and that will always be there with TSM. I'm going to say this, at one point, this roster will have problems, like all the TSM roster does, and have been a problem in terms of anything. You know, people are going to find fault with anything, but looking at how every single year TSM has done this, where they make videos going, oh yeah, we changed, you know, last year we learned a lot, and, you know, this year, you know, let's run it back. No, I don't believe it. For 1 second, I do not believe it, and I don't really believe anybody else has been believing it. There's no way, if you're a TSM fan and you believe anything that they come out, if you're a TSM fan and you believe anything that comes out of their mouth, and you're high, because I've seen these videos. You can go back and watch these videos. They're literally a thing, you know? People are asking, why do you feel this way? I've been watching them for 5 years straight. You think at this point I would pick up all the patterns that they have. Hopefully this year is different. I'll keep a open mind, I guess, but I think the roster is good, and definitely upgrades in every position, more or less so. Kobbe is an upgrade over Sven in some cases, and then obviously Biofrost is an upgrade over Smoothie. Dardoch is an upgrade over all the junglers that they had. Dardoch is an upgrade over, which is a good thing to look at, and Bjergsen is obviously going to be Bjergsen. So yeah, that's it. Obviously I wanted to give you guys this video because obviously, you know, there's been mostly just roster news. It hasn't really been me just giving you guys a direct discussion video. I was more or less so laughing at certain points during the video because, you know, I like to have a jokey, you know, type of discussion with you guys while being fairly serious as well. So see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe, most of all enjoy. Hashtag TSM win, because we know they're going to be hashtag getting destroyed later on in the year. So see you guys later. Bye. Have a good day. I'm the Nightwing, and Way of Life Esports is signing
Be sure
out.
to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.